Welcome to week 1 of gymnastics. I primarily wanted to take this class to tumble, so I was very happy that we were working on floor basics during my first class. And by floor basics, I mean rolls. All of the rolls required you to have a rounded back, which was really unintuitive for me. And because of that, I kept smashing into the ground. And then we actually worked a little bit of back walkovers at the end of class. My goals for taking these classes are to be able to do a back walkover, a back handspring, a front walkover, a front handspring, a back tuck, and a front tuck. I'm not gonna lie, my head, I do have a little bit of a headache. Honestly, I didn't think it was too physically taxing until the next day, and I had to walk out of bed like this. I didn't look that different in week 2. We started off with all the floor basics, and I was still slamming into the ground with my rolls. One thing I did learn this week was how to bail out of a handstand, which was pretty cool. My handstand forward rolls were still giving me massive headaches. We also got to try some other events like vault and uneven bars, which was super cool, and I think my favorite non-floor event so far. This trick looked so easy. When I tried to do it by myself without a spot, it was not as smooth.
Bruh.
The third time I tried to attempt it, I was just so tired I couldn't even do it. We also got to try out the trampoline, which was super fun because you could just flip into a foam pit and it was like landing on a cushy cloud. Week 3 was very exciting because we got to try back handsprings. We had these barrels which made it a lot easier to try jumping backwards. I am absolutely terrified of smashing my wrists into the ground and injuring myself, so the barrel was really helpful in taking away that fear. It's so funny watching the videos back because when I'm doing it, it feels like I'm going super fast, but in the videos it's so slow. I also tried some front handspring with the barrel, which was super cool, and of course we hit all of our floor basics. I wish I could say that my rolls got better, but I was still smashing my head into the ground at this point. The raging headache is the one thing that I was not enjoying about gymnastics. I feel like I started to see a little bit of progress here. My handstands were definitely getting better, which is just a sign to me that repetition does pay off. This wasn't a super eventful class. We practiced all of our floor basics, but I was happy that I was able to get a pretty solid handstand. Once again, we were doing floor basics. I really wanted to work on my handstand forward rolls because those are the ones where I kept slamming into the floor. I think a lot of it was a mental block. When I had the mat in front of me, I had no problem doing it. But as soon as I tried to do it on the floor, I would get in my head and freak out. But I do think I made a little bit of progress this week. We also learned the proper way to arm circle into a vault, which is also apparently how you're supposed to start an aerial. He had us do these dive cartwheels. So that was really exciting because an aerial is on the bucket list of things I'd like to be able to do. We, of course, did all the floor basics as usual. I also tried doing a round off for the first time since like middle school, so it was really cool to see how muscle memory works. This week we also actually got to kind of trampoline onto the vault, which was really fun. We also tried parallel bars, which was insane. Even holding the most simple position was awful for me. Mad respect to gymnasts who do this all the time. This was the first week I tried a back handspring without the barrel. By this point, I had gotten pretty comfortable and had a good shape on the barrel. But when I tried it with a spot, everything just flew out the window. I think this was really mental for me, where I was very afraid, and so I kind of forgot everything that I had learned. Nonetheless, I do think it was a good experience for me, and it was very cool to try it without the barrel. My coach, Nate, is amazing, so thank you so much for spotting me, Nate. And yes, you guessed it, we did more floor basics. I actually thought that by this point I would have been a little bit tired of the classes, but I look forward to coming to class every single week. It's a great way to work out without feeling like you're really working out. And I felt extra grateful and happy to be here this week. This week, I really wanted to work on my back walkover. Looking at it now, my legs are very bent, so I think I'm going to try and straighten them when I kick up. And I also want to work on my lower back flexibility. I think having my feet closer to my hands will make it a lot easier for me. This is also the class where I learned that I can back bend from standing up. The insane thing that did happen during this class is that I successfully did a back walkover. Not very clean, but I did it, and I pat myself on the back for that. However, it's been weeks and I still have not been able to do it again, so it was kind of a one-time trick. Dare I say, my handstand forward rolls are looking pretty good here. Nice and smooth. I was feeling a lot more comfortable with my handstands, and I started to try learning how to walk on them. Tried kicking up to a handstand forward roll from a straddle, which was very interesting. I also got my backwards roll on the floor this class, which was fun. And like I mentioned before, I tried to do the back walkover once again, and it didn't really work, so yeah, we're still working on that. Tried some front walkovers too and had a really hard time trying to stand back up, but hey, you win some, you learn some. We're finally at week 10. We worked on lots of front handsprings this week. I started out with a barrel, which was feeling pretty good for me. I graduated to doing them on panel mats and then lowering them and lowering them and lowering them until I finally got to the floor and I ate shit. But I got back up and tried it again, and that time I landed it. I did it again to make sure it wasn't a fluke like my back walkover, but I do think it's safe to say that I've got a front handspring under my belt now. We ended the class trying to work up to an aerial, doing some one-handed cartwheels and some dive cartwheels, and hopefully this is a skill that I'll be able to get soon. And that, my friends, is my 10-week progress of gymnastics. Looking back at all the footage, it was so surprising to see how much progress I had made, because when I go week to week, I don't really feel any different. Even though I'm not quite where I'd want to be, I'm very proud of all the progress that I've made in the past 10 weeks. I was never a super athletic person growing up. Music and school was more of my thing. So it feels very fulfilling to prove to myself that I can also take on physical endeavors. If there's something that you've been wanting to do for a while, but you're too scared to try, this is your sign to go do it. There's no shame in being bad at things or being a beginner as an adult. There will only be regret if you don't try. I'm still currently in this gymnastics class and will be for the foreseeable future. So make sure you subscribe so you can see me get a back handspring. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.